Hello, everyone. My name is Yonda Star, and today we are going to be talking tarot. Okay? So, I'm on this new journey and I am learning about all of the meanings of the Rider-Waite tarot deck. And obviously, we know the Rider-Waite tarot deck is the OG, the original deck that everyone learns from and everyone knows about. And we are going to be looking at each card individually. Hopefully I can do a video for each card because I have gone through these internet streets, these YouTube streets, and I tried to find different, I've tried to find videos that had different meanings to all of the cards, like just each one laid out. And I know it's a lot of work, and I know it's a lot to ask of someone to do, but I was trying to because I love learning about this tarot business, and I wanted to basically help you guys as I'm helping myself as I'm learning through this. So I am going to be talking about each card individually in a video. We got to do this 78 times, so bear with me. Hopefully I can get through it. If not, then we gonna get through what we can get through. Okay. So let's get into it. So this is the Rider-Waite deck. Okay. We can go into the history of tarot in another video because that's actually its own just journey. Okay. First, I want to start with what I use tarot for. I use tarot in order for introspection. When I first started using it, it was a couple of years ago. I want to say in 2021, 2022. I went through a really bad time in my life, and I started to do a lot of reflection on who I was. Really, it was who I was, because I had been stripped down to the bone so raw. I had a tower moment in a sense. Stripped down so raw that I needed help figuring out who this new sack of flesh was. Who was this underneath this? All of the scrapings and the bones and whatever else I was reduced to. It was a mess. Had a lot of alchemical moments there as well, but that's another video. And so at first I started getting into oracle cards because they were a little bit easier. They kind of have their own set of rules, and it was a little easier to follow. And so I started pulling a card every day in order to basically gain insight as to what I needed to do in order to reflect, in order to change my life, because I was at lowest of the low of the low. And so it went from oracle cards to tarot, and I was trying to avoid tarot. I'm not going to lie. I was trying to avoid tarot because it just seemed complicated. And you know what? It is complicated. It's easy and complicated at the same time. This whole duality situation. But I am now on this journey where I am actually learning the cards in order to learn myself. And I want to also help you all learn the cards so you can all learn yourself as well. This life is a hard journey for all of us, or it can be easy. It can be easy if we're aligned. And my goal here is to help you all get into alignment and live your best life because you know yourself, and using the cards as a tool to help you live your best life and figure out who you are. So, and in order to do that, we have to learn what these doggone cards mean, right? Got a lot going on in here. All right. So today, this is the Rider-Waite deck. I'm using the giant one so you all can see. today we are going to be going over the Fool. Okay? The Fool. So, with the Fool, if you are doing a reading for yourself or even pulling cards for yourself, and you pull out this bad boy right here, no matter what the question is, you are looking at a new journey. Okay? You're looking at, when you see the Fool, the question comes up to me, what is the purpose of this journey that I'm starting? And what will I learn from this journey? You know, it's essentially the start of a journey. And for me, it would have been my spiritual journey. That would have been the start of my spiritual journey. And this card is actually pretty deep because yes, it is the start of the journey, but he is the Fool because at the end of the day, it all comes back to him. And we'll kind of talk about it a little bit as we get into it. So essentially, we're beginning a journey. And I do have some notes down here that I wrote. Okay, so if you see me looking down, I am looking at my notes. Okay, it keeps me focused because if not, I will ramble y'all to death like I'm doing now. Let's continue. So, the beginning of a journey. You are looking at things from childlike wonder with these wide eyes. Everything is beautiful. You almost have a little bit of arrogance to you. The Fool is associated with Aquarius, Uranus, a planet of unpredictability. And if we know Aquarius have lots of confidence. They look at things with a lot of wonder. They got a lot of questions. I have an Aquarius daughter. Questions on questions. Okay. But they look at life with this childlike, carefree wonder. If you know an Aquarius, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go into a little bit of astrology. By no means am I an astrologist. Okay. I know enough of it to connect it with what we're talking about, but speak to your local astrologist if you want to get way into astrology. I digress. So basically that's what you get when we're looking at the card just at face value. When we take a deeper look into the card of the Fool, we see a lot of symbols. We see a lot of pictures. Different pictures mean different things. Okay. And so it gets kind of like bright in my light here, but let's see. So first thing we're going to talk about here are the different pictures. You see the Fool, he's standing on a mountain. He's standing at the edge of a cliff. So let's talk about that. What would him standing at the edge of the cliff symbolize? That symbolizes him obviously about to start some type of journey. It could even be him caught in between two different choices in a sense. It could be kind of like the Lover's card. So do I jump? Do I stay? It looks like he's more wanting to jump because he wants to explore, because look at that face. Look at it. But it's almost like, is he going to fall? Is he going to land beautifully? Does he have a parachute in that sack? We don't know. You know, that's the whole caveat of the Fool. It's like, it's one of those things where we don't know exactly where it's going to end up. We just know that you have this journey and it can end up really good or end up really bad. And that's probably where you would keep pulling your cards to get clarification on the situation. But again, we're just talking about the Fool right now. So the next thing I want to talk about is this mountain. So he is on top of a mountain, but he also has white snow-capped mountains behind him. Okay, so what does mountain symbolize? And so I have a book of symbols here. Hold on, I'll show you guys. So I get a lot of my information from this book of symbols here. It's called The Book of Symbols from Tasshin. So What is a mountain? So he's coming down from a mountain. Okay, what does a mountain symbolize? Mountains are associated with the divine, with your highest self, with God or highest consciousness. So the Fool is coming down, is choosing to come down from that higher consciousness in order to incarnate into this world. So in a sense, he is choosing to come down from his divine self to be part of this material world and to experience the human condition. Is he a fool for that? Some would say yes, some would say no. It just depends on your perspective. But a mountain could also be associated with a widened perspective. And so maybe he is coming down in order to get a widened perspective on his consciousness. There's something that he needs to learn when, becoming material, coming down from that self or from that godlike self. And so this could also be, if you're pulling it in a spread, if you're someone that is feeling like you are disconnected from your spiritual self, it could be that that you are, this could be a card that is showing that you maybe have disconnected, but maybe for a reason you disconnected because you're going on this journey. Pause. Touch and build. Okay. So my wonderful partner just told me that Caution is a book publisher that was founded in 1980 by Benedict Taschen. I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly or pronouncing it correctly, but yes. So yes, if you have questions, then let me know in the comments. Okay. So it could be, if you pull this card, you may have been feeling like you've came out of your higher self and kind of, letting yourself be a little bit more worldly in a sense. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you need to come down, or you may need some grounding. It may be the start of a journey that is going to get you grounded. We never know. Okay. So that is the symbolism of the mountains. And one thing we're going to notice is a lot of these symbols actually mean kind of the same thing. So as we go through them, you'll start to notice that. So next, the sun. Okay. And it's a white sun. We'll talk about the color white as well. But the sun is its own card, essentially. But in the context of the Fool, it's his consciousness. And his consciousness actually is lighting his path. And so he's more, you have the conscious and then you have the subconscious. For him, he's being led more by his consciousness, which means he is, again, coming down from that divine subconscious self. And so you're led, as the Fool, you're going into this world again in that naive state, the conscious state. The conscious is the lowest form of consciousness, subconsciousness, super consciousness. And there's a lot of them that I'm not super well versed in yet. I will be. But there are different levels of consciousness, and just the conscious itself, is more worldly. Okay. So next, this little cute white dog. He looks so happy. So the dog is standing up next to him, looking at him. Where are you going? Kind of in the same wonder as he is, right? So in our little book of symbols, we learned that the dog is actually, in different mythologies, is a guide between the worlds of life and death. And in a sense, it may not be life and death in its actual literal meaning. It could be more between worlds, between the spirit world and the material world. So the dog could be acting as his guide, you know, because if he's going to jump off of this cliff, he's going to need a guide. If he's going to jump off of this cliff from the divine into this material world with this sense of childlike naivety, if that's the right word, he's going to need a guide. And that dog represents him kind of still needing that guide in order to help him through this path that he's going to be on. Okay. Because if we know the tarot, we know it's going to be a path. It's going to be something. Okay. A quote from our good old Book of Symbols book regarding the dog. He hunts us down, driving us madly through our own unleashed passions towards deeper authenticity. So, the Fool, the dog could be acting as the Fool's guide in order to bring him to find himself. He probably doesn't even know who he is at this point because, I mean, what's in that bag? We don't know what's in that bag. He doesn't even know what's in that bag. He's just looking out on the horizon. The dog symbolizes that help and that assistance to get you to start you on this journey to find your authentic self, which is what I kind of talked about at the beginning, I think. Yeah. The dog is basically acting as his guide through his journey through the light and the dark to find his sense of self. It all comes back to him at the end of the day. Okay. Next, we have a little theme here. The different colors. And I know one that's really stuck out to me was white. I know the card is yellow, but the white actually really stuck out to me because a lot of the pictures are white. It's a white dog. It's a white snow-capped mountain. The sun is even white. He's holding a white rose. Okay. So, of course, what does white mean in this sense? Purity, innocence, all the Fool. He's looking at his journey without bias. He's going on this journey without feeling that fear or doubt that we may feel when we start something new. So the color white, and I found this quote very interesting. The color white, and I quote, is a symbol of integration without presenting to the eye the variety of forces that it is integrating, and that it is as complete and as empty as a circle. So when I thought about that, I thought about the World card. It wants to integrate in order to create this, this circle, to make a complete circle, which, if we find is at the end is the World card. I digress. But then we also have the snow on the mountain. So snow-capped mountain kind of also has its own meaning. And so in the book of Symbols, it says the whiteout erases even shadows and eliminates the horizon and deceives our perception of the scale of depth. It deceives our perception of the scale of depth. So basically this white mountaintop is basically deceiving his idea of how crazy this journey is actually going to be. He has no idea what he's going to go through. And this mountaintop kind of symbolizes that. He has no idea what he's getting himself into, because that snow-capped mountain is confusing him on the actual depth of the situation. So he's going into a situation not knowing what's going on. So again, you pull this, if you pull this in one of your reads, or if you're reading for someone, it could also mean that this person has a situation that they're going through or going to go through that they may be looking at with these white colored glasses and not realizing the seriousness of the situation. That would probably be more of a reversed meaning. But they may not be seeing it in the seriousness as it actually is. And again, this is a card of the Aquarius, and they do that. They really do that. They look at things all just, they so unserious, and then serious when they want to be. So in a sense, there is white all around, him. And it could be that he is blinded to the depth of the situation and what he's going through, because he may need that journey. If he knew exactly how hard it was going to be, he wouldn't go through the journey and learn what he needs to know. So next, we have the white rose in his hand. And we're not going to go too far into the white rose, because again, a lot of it means the same thing. White rose is pure love. He's holding, innocence. It's a white rose. Innocence, pure love, even self-love. He has a lot of self-love, a lot, it could be even interpreted as arrogance, confidence, but he's holding it in his hand. And so it is representative of that love that he has for himself, which could be helping him, take that leap with whatever he is going to take a leap for. So the last thing we're going to be talking about with the Fool card for today is this feather. Okay, this feather. He has this red feather on his head. Okay. Again, the feather can represent the transport between worlds. Just like how the dog is a guide between worlds, the feather is on his head, so it's representing his own transport between worlds. So he's going from that spiritual plane to that material plane. So he has, which is also represented by the sun. He's coming into that actual consciousness. He's being born in a sense, and he has the dog to guide him through it. It represents his different altered state of consciousness, described as that ecstatic flight between earth and the spirit world. Light, and also, feather that feels like, a feather represents lightlessness, mobility, air, balance, everything an air sign is, right? Aquarius is an air sign. Okay. Lightheartedness, that he's very lighthearted. He doesn't have the burdens of the world. He doesn't have the burdens of the world because he hasn't gone on that journey yet. He doesn't have anything that weighs him down to keep him from doubting himself yet. He's not there yet. Okay? If you are pulling this card, again, like I said, I thought about, what is the purpose of this journey I am starting? And you can think about it. Am I going through this? Am I understanding the significance of this journey that I'm going on? Do I have the confidence to take this journey? Am I being naive? Am I going to jump off this cliff and splat right on my face, or am I just going to fly? Is this feather going to activate, and am I going to fly? Do I have the right guidance? Sometimes this isn't necessarily a guidance card, but you could question that. Like, do I have the right guidance, or am I trusting my spirit guide? This could also, the dog could represent his intuition. He could be, right now he's a being of intuition. He's coming down from consciousness, or coming down from that spirit world into material consciousness. So this dog could be that intuition, that helps guide him. And so it's like, am I trusting my intuition? There's other cards that are more, that go into intuition more. We'll go over that soon, especially with the High Priestess. But yes, so that is part of the journey of the Fool. Obviously, I can't get into everything. I didn't even get into his clothes and all kind of stuff, but that's at least it's a good start. It's a good start to help actually understand, if you pull the Fool for yourself, it can help with some information to assist with understanding maybe what is going on inside of you at the moment. What are some questions that you can raise to yourself at the moment if you pull this card? Okay, so this is the first one out of a very, very, very long deck. But if you have any questions, or if there is anything that you want me to continue to touch on, or that you want to go more into, I would be happy to. I believe the next one is the Magician. And so you're gonna have to give me some time before I do that one. I try to be as consistent as I can, but again, I have lots of children, and a whole family and career. So it could be a little bit tough for me to post like I want to, but I will, because again, you are on this journey just like me. I just got into a lot of this stuff recently. So not tarot, but like really dug into each card, or digging into each card. And you're sharing the journey with me in real time. And so if you have any questions, or even share some of your journey, what's your perspective? Because I'm open to perspective, especially from you veterans, tarot veterans. Give me all the knowledge. I am, just give it to me. I'm good. I'm very grateful for it. Put your perspectives on the Fool in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do all of the things. And until next time, I will see you in the next video. And yes, love you.